Welcome to my Greek recording segment 6 about the first declension of Greek nouns. We remember in the prior lesson that we met masculine and neuter nouns of the second declension, and now as promised we meet the first declension nouns. While I've got you at the introduction page, I do want to remind you of my full classes at potterschool.org or at alts.edu for people on the graduate level, and of always something good happening over at Wittenberg Door Campus Ministry, wittenbergcomo.com. Well, in dealing with the first declension of nouns, remember these are nouns, and so they are going to have gender, number, and case. Don't worry about the fact that you previously studied the second declension. This is normal. The first declension has been taught after the second declension since at least the 5th century BC. So we have over 2,400 years of precedent doing it. I think we'll be safe doing it today as well. Why are these first declension and second declension? This is a bit of speculation on my part, but it's the best bit of speculation I've been able to come up with over quite a few years of inquiry, and that is these are alphabetically suffixes on nouns which come before the second declension suffixes. I think that's probably what the pattern is. Here's what we're going to notice about the first declension. Almost all first declension nouns are feminine nouns. There are just a few first declension masculine nouns, not very many, and we'll treat them as odd critters that we study later. The first declension has 3 groups of feminine nouns. Now, the suffixes on the plural forms are alike in all 3 groups, so you only have to learn those once. That's very good news. But there are a few differences in the singular forms. Let's take a look at them. Some first declension feminine nouns have a stem ending in epsilon, iota, rho, or and then are followed by an alpha. Now, actually I highlighted 2 cases. I should only have highlighted the genitive case. The genitive singular is where you will look to find out for certain what the declension of a noun is. Always try to find the genitive singular. All right, so you have a stem there on the word hora, horos, ending with a rho, and then there's an alpha after it. And what are you going to find? You're going to find that the endings go a, as, a, on. And then the plural, I, own, ice, as. And remember, we're going to see those plurals for all of the first declension feminines, I, own, ice, as. See them there? All right, so some first declension nouns will work like hora, horos, hora, horon. Some of them, however, are first declension feminine in eta. Yes, I know I skipped to the end of the chart, but that's just the way I am today. All right, let's look at those endings. Graphe, a writing, a text. Notice the endings. A, ace, a, ain. All right, well, let's see. You see the genitive singular has a vowel and then a sigma. The dative singular has a vowel with an iota subscript. The accusative singular has a vowel followed by a nu. but it's a different vowel, isn't it? So there are the alphas and there are the etas. All right, alpha all the way down, eta all the way down. Notice if you know the nominative and genitive singular, you're going to know which pattern it follows. Now, there is another oddball. There's always an oddball in every language. Notice here the alpha, but this is a first declension feminine in alpha without an epsilon, iota, or rho before it. And look what happens here. A, ace, a, on. So that one's a little bit tricky. A, ace, a, on. Now what you're going to find is that if you know the nominative and genitive singular, see them? Here, let me do that with a circle or an ellipse because that won't get hidden by the horizontal and vertical lines. You see, if you know the nominative and genitive singular, and you can look those up in the vocabulary of any lexicon or the word list in the back of your grammar that you're using to learn Greek, you can find those forms. And if you know the nominative and genitive singular, you'll know what pattern it fits into. All right, plural, I, own, ice, os. Singular, a, os, on, or a, ace, ain, or a, ace, on. Those are your forms. Again, remember, please, the most reliable way to memorize the correct declension of a noun is to find its genitive singular form in a dictionary. If you know the nominative singular, the genitive singular, and the gender, it will fit into only one pattern. Good grief, I just read the exact text on the slide. Mark one down for me as a bad presenter. Never supposed to do that. However, this is something worth remembering. Specifically, learn the nominative and genitive singular and the gender, and you will know the pattern that the noun follows. All right, well, remember your case uses. Use the nominative for subject. Use the genitive generally for possession. Say of if you wish. Use the dative usually for the indirect object or anything else that fits into this crazy bucket. Use the word to when you see it. And use the accusative case for the direct object. All right, that was a brief lesson, but I hope useful. Remember, first declension, feminine. Gender, number, case. Very useful. We'll see you next time.